There is a type of person that walks among us, invisible yet powerful, magnetic yet terrifying. They are not the loud tyrants who reveal their cruelty openly, nor the cold manipulators who lack any trace of humanity. They are something far more dangerous, a hybrid, a paradox, a fusion of two traits that rarely coexist. On one hand, they possess the gift of empathy, the ability to sense and understand your feelings with uncanny precision. On the other, they carry a Machiavellian instinct for manipulation, control, and domination. This, my friend, is the Dark Empath, perhaps the most dangerous personality type in existence. Empathy in its pure form is a force of connection, love, and compassion. It binds families, builds communities, and heals wounds. But when empathy is fused with narcissism, psychopathy, or Machiavellian strategy, it becomes weaponized. Imagine someone who not only knows what you feel, but knows how to twist it against you. Someone who can touch your soul, not to heal it, but to exploit its vulnerabilities. Let us dive deep into the 12 signs of a Dark Empath, a portrait of psychological power that blends charm with cruelty, kindness with coldness, intimacy with manipulation. 1. They read you like a book. A Dark Empath has a radar for emotions. They notice the subtle tremors in your voice, the flicker in your eyes, the shift in your posture. Unlike ordinary manipulators who rely on blunt tactics, the Dark Empath can dissect your emotions with surgical precision. And while most empaths use this ability to comfort, the Dark Empath uses it to calculate. They know when you are weak, when you are desperate, when you crave validation, and they strike at exactly the right moment. 2. Their charm feels almost addictive. Dark Empaths are magnetic. They don't just attract people, they pull them in like gravity. This charm is not shallow flattery. It feels deep, personal, tailored exactly for you. Why? Because they know what you need to hear. They sense your insecurities and package their words in ways that make you feel understood. But this charm is a trap, a velvet rope tied around your throat. Once you're hooked, they control the rhythm of your emotions. 3. They play the victim when it serves them. A Dark Empath understands that nothing disarms people like pity. They can switch roles from predator to victim in seconds. One moment they dominate you with confidence, the next they confess a tragic story that melts your defenses. You lower your guard, thinking they are wounded and fragile, but in truth, this is another mask, a way to keep you emotionally entangled, guilty, and loyal. 4. They have a talent for guilt tripping. Because they understand your emotions, Dark Empaths can weaponize guilt better than anyone else. They know exactly which words to use to make you feel responsible for their pain. If you try to set boundaries, they accuse you of being cold. If you resist their control, they make you feel selfish. This emotional blackmail is subtle, but it keeps you tied to their influence, unable to walk away without feeling like the villain. 5. They are skilled storytellers. Machiavelli himself once wrote that rulers must learn how to tell convincing lies because people judge more by appearances than by truth. The Dark Empath lives by this principle. They weave narratives that captivate you, sometimes stories of success, other times tales of suffering. The key is that these stories serve a purpose, to manipulate your perception. They are masters of emotional theater, and you are the audience. 6. They blur the line between kindness and cruelty. One of the most dangerous traits of a Dark Empath is unpredictability. They can be warm and generous one moment, cold and ruthless the next. This keeps you disoriented, always chasing their approval, always questioning what version of them you will encounter today. It is a cycle of reward and punishment, affection and withdrawal, a psychological conditioning that makes you dependent on them. 7. They use empathy to target weakness, not to heal it. Unlike pure empaths who want to soothe your wounds, Dark Empaths study your wounds. They analyze your trauma, your past failures, your insecurities, and they file them away as weapons. Later, in moments of conflict or control, they unleash this knowledge to shatter your confidence. They know where you bleed, and they press their fingers on the wound with terrifying precision. 8. They know how to disguise control as care. A dark empath rarely dominates you openly. Instead, they wrap their control in concern. They say things like, "I just want what's best for you," while subtly steering your decisions. They convince you that their guidance is protection, that their control is love. But make no mistake, their care is not genuine. It is strategy. Every suggestion they make, every piece of advice they give, is designed to keep you under their influence. 9. They crave power more than connection. Even though they can feel emotions deeply, dark empaths are not driven by love or unity. Their ultimate drive is power. They may appear to care about you, but behind the mask lies ambition, the hunger to dominate, to control outcomes, to bend people to their will. Connection is a tool, not a goal, and this is what makes them truly Machiavellian. 10. They leave you doubting yourself. Perhaps the most insidious sign of a dark empath is their ability to destabilize your mind. They mix truth with lies, kindness with cruelty, care with manipulation, until you no longer know what's real. You doubt your own perceptions. You question whether you are too sensitive, too selfish, too paranoid. In this confusion, the dark empath thrives because a person who doubts themselves is easy to control. 11. They keep their true nature. Hidden dark empaths are masters of masks. To some, they appear as saints, to others as leaders, to you maybe as a soulmate. They know how to blend into different environments, adapting their personality like a chameleon. Rarely do they reveal their true intentions, and by the time you realize the danger, you are already entangled in their web. 12. They can walk away without remorse. Despite their ability to feel, dark empaths retain a core of coldness. If their manipulation no longer serves them, if you no longer feed their need for control, they can drop you without hesitation. One moment they were your confidant, your lover, your closest friend. The next they vanish, leaving you shattered and wondering if the entire connection was an illusion. And in truth, it was. The dark empath is not a myth. They exist in politics, in relationships, in workplaces, even in families. They embody the very essence of Machiavelli's principle. It is not enough to rule people's actions. The true master rules their hearts and minds. If you ever encounter one, remember this. Your emotions are not weaknesses to be exploited. Your empathy is not a weapon to be turned against you. To protect yourself, you must learn what the Stoics taught: self-mastery, boundaries, and the courage to walk away from toxic influence. Because the most dangerous prison is not made of stone or steel. It is the invisible cage built by someone who knows your soul and chooses to use it against you. You must understand this as plainly as you would understand a wound that needs dressing. The first thing the dark empath attacks is not your intelligence or your talent. They attack the soft architecture of your trust, the small corners where hope lives, the private rooms of your self-worth that you thought were locked. So our work is not to hunt them down with the same tools they use. Our work is to rebuild what they aim to break, to fortify what they already know how to exploit. Imagine your inner life as a city under siege. The walls have been cracked. The gates have been left slightly ajar. For too long, you left the fires unlit inside, hoping someone else would watch the towers. Now you must become the watchman, the mason, the commander who sees clearly, without flinching, what must be repaired. Begin by learning to read yourself with ruthless honesty. This is not a gentle exercise of self-pity. It is a surgeon's inspection. Look at the moments when you gave away energy you did not have to give. Recall the nights you apologized for feelings that were reasonable. Trace, without shame, the pattern of chasing approval as if it were oxygen. When you can name these motions, they stop being ghosts in the house. Names make monsters smaller. Names let you separate the voice that pleads for others' validation from the voice that knows its own value. Once you can hear that second voice clearly, the manipulator's whispers lose their traction. Next, cultivate a calm so profound that it feels like an act of rebellion. The dark empath feeds on reactive heat, sudden eruptions, sharp confessions, frantic attempts to fix, to please, to prove. Become the opposite of that heat. Train your breath to be a steady metronome. Let silence be an answer. When they offer a story designed to unsettle you, allow those sentences to land and pass like weather. You will be amazed how often the manipulator's knives are dulled by a face that will not sprint after every provocation. This calm is not passivity. It is refined strength. It signals to others and to yourself that your center cannot be moved at will. But inner calm alone is not armor. You must practice the small arts of separation. Learn to speak with precision, and when speech is dangerous, learn to retreat into thought. There is power in choosing when to engage. There is power in refusing to be the default audience for someone else's drama. If a person insists that your only purpose is to repair them, remember you are not an emergency room. You are a life. When you quiet the compulsion to fix every broken piece around you, you keep your energy from being siphoned. You keep your love from being weaponized. Trust, then verify, and allow verification to come from more than what someone says. Watch patterns over months, not moments. The Dark Empath will present 1,000 convincing performances. The antidote is time. Time will expose the consistency of kindness or the rehearsed choreography of manipulation. Do not be ashamed to let weeks be your litmus test. A person who truly respects you does not require constant emotional hostage-taking to prove their affection. Their respect accumulates in small acts. They meet you where you are. They keep promises you notice. They accept boundaries without theatrics. Relearn the language of boundaries so that it feels like a natural accent in your speech rather than an alien defense. Boundaries need not be steel gates. They can be polite, immovable statements. They can be a simple refusal that you deliver with dignity. When you speak a limit and hold it, you teach the world how to treat you. That teaching will save you from 1,000 entanglements that feel romantic in the moment and ruinous in the long run. Remember, every line you draw is not a rejection of humanity. It is an affirmation of yours. There is another layer beneath the obvious, the cultivation of meaning beyond the manipulator's orbit. Build obsessions that are yours alone. Crafts, study, work that eats time and returns something of value to you. Fill your life with endeavors that require attention and discipline. When your days are occupied with the slow, meaningful labor of becoming, there is less room for someone else to steal your narrative. The manipulator thrives in spare rooms of life, in boredom, in the tiny, unprotected hours. Fill those hours with the practice of excellence, and you starve their opportunity. Yet strength without softness is a brittle thing. Let your heart remain capable of tenderness, but let tenderness be a disciplined currency. Give it to those who earn the deposit, not to the one who has learned to forge receipts. Practice saying yes deliberately and no without apology. Let your generosity be strategic, your compassion measured so that empathy is not an open door for theft. Radical generosity toward life in the world is one thing. Providing the same donation to someone who uses it to bind you is another. You will be tempted to believe that exposing the Dark Empath will end the danger. Sometimes exposure is necessary, but more often, true victory is quieter. It is the slow erosion of their influence as you reclaim agency over your responses. They will attempt to pull you into debates that do not need winning, to twist narratives so the moral weight leans toward them. Do not bring your sword where resolve will do. Save your energy for battles that matter, preserving your peace, protecting your family, building your future. Let their drama become background noise against the work you choose to do each day. When the moment comes to walk away, and it will come for many, do so with the ceremonial calm of someone who pays their debt and closes their door. Depart with no need to dramatize the exit. An unceremonious departure sometimes inflicts the greatest lesson. It shows that your life contained enough that you could leave without catastrophe. Do not expect them to mourn your leaving in the way you would wish. Expect instead to be reborn in silence. Finally, carry forward a philosophy that is both pragmatic and noble. Power is not opposite to virtue. Used well, it protects the vulnerable and builds order. Let your regained strength be used to fortify others. Teach what you have learned about reading hearts, not so others can exploit them, but so others can guard them. This is the highest counter to the Dark Empath, a community of people who see clearly, who hold each other to the light, who build cities within themselves where trust can live again. Stand now with hands that have been cleaned, with wounds that have been tended, and with vision sharp enough to see both the beauty and the danger in another human face. You will never be completely immune. None of us are. But you will be far less tempting. You will be a person whose internal currency cannot be counterfeit. You will return to the world not as a victim or a martyr, but as a steady force, present, compassionate, disciplined, unshakable. This is not merely survival. This is ascendance. This is the quiet revolution that begins inside a single mind and echoes outward into every relationship, every choice, every morning you choose to meet the world not as prey, but as a sovereign of your own life. What remains after you have seen the mask fall? What remains after you have wrestled with the shadow of a dark empath? After you have tasted the venom of manipulation? After you have walked through the labyrinth of deception? What remains if you do not collapse is the raw material of greatness. For every scar etched upon your heart becomes a map that guides you not toward bitterness, but toward clarity. Many fear the dark empath because they embody contradiction. They can love and wound in the same breath. They can hold your hand while tightening invisible chains around your spirit. But here lies the paradox. Once you recognize the pattern, their greatest strength becomes their undoing. Because a weapon is only as effective as its secrecy. The moment you expose it to the light, it becomes predictable, and the predictable can be resisted. There is a silent dignity in those who survive such encounters. They do not emerge untouched. No, they carry with them the weight of lessons that cannot be unlearned. But their eyes become sharper, their posture more unyielding, their trust more deliberate. And this transformation is precisely what the manipulator never intended. That by trying to break you, they forged you. By trying to weaken your spirit, they trained it to become invincible. Do not think of yourself as unlucky for having crossed paths with them. Think of yourself as tested by fire. The Stoics believed that adversity is not punishment, but training. Epictetus once said, "Difficulties are the things that show what men are." The dark empath may test you in ways no enemy ever could, but in that test you discover the boundaries of your patience, the depth of your courage, the limits of your attachment. And in discovering them, you transcend them. This is the ultimate power, not the ability to manipulate another, not the ability to play puppeteer with human hearts, but the ability to master the stage within your own chest. The dark empath plays games with feelings because they are too afraid to face their own. Do not mirror their fear. Do not copy their tactics. Instead, embody the opposite. A calm so unshakable that no trick can uproot it. A strength so radiant that no mask can dim it. Let this be your creed. Your emotions are yours, not theirs. Your compassion is a gift, not a leash. Your boundaries are shields, not prisons. And your life is too precious to be lived as an actor in someone else's theater. You are not a victim of their darkness. You are the dawn they never anticipated. And when the sun rises, shadows vanish. Not because they were defeated in battle, but because light simply makes them irrelevant.